and I'm here to help. I'm here to give you a fighting chance, because I fucking believe in you. I believe if you have the proper weaponry, if you have not just a knife that you bring to an all-out gunfight, but you've got some grenades that you can throw back at Big Food and Big Pharma, and you can stick those grenades up their... What's up, guys? This is Jason, Actualization, and what I'm going to be talking about in this video today is actually a really sensitive and divided topic: fat shaming. And I'm going to give you guys what I believe to be our fairly developed, fairly mature thoughts on this matter. And what I think you'll find is that my perspective, my take, is going to be a hybridized nuance between the, on the one hand, fat shaming crowd, and then on the other, body positivity, because quite frankly, there is truth indeed in both takes, both perspectives. And this is going to be a no holds barred communication. I'm not going to hold anything back. I'm going to tell you exactly what I actually think about this without being censored. So let's peel back the layers a little bit first, paint with broad strokes, and talk about why this is such an important topic. And it's important because, in case you haven't noticed, we live in a very sick society. Obesity runs rampant, metabolic disorder, and the myriad comorbid conditions that accompanies, which is virtually everything under the sun. I mean, my God, guys, do you realize that one of the most profitable people that healthcare could, I know it sounds sick, but benefit from monetarily is a newly diagnosed diabetic kid? But think about the quality of life of that kid, being told that he needs to be medicated for the rest of his life, or someone who's overweight, who's being sold on the Ozempic dream, the semaglutide weekly injections that cost a fortune and are going to bankrupt this country, and not being advised that the food supply chain is as corrupt as it is toxic. Guys, this is a really important matter because, as far as I can tell, we're all here to get the most juice out of the squeeze of this life and to really enjoy our time here in this finite form, in this body that we have to experience life. And I'm assuming that you'd like to enjoy that experience and you'd like to get the most out of it that you possibly can. The only way to do that, guys, is by being of sound mind and body. And there are so many landmines in our midst that people are just silently stepping on. And an entire war has been waged against our own health. I call it the greatest heist of all time, the heist of human health, wherein you and your loved ones' health has literally been taken from you, and you've taken hook, line, and sinker the narrative that this is just innate to the human condition, that diabetes, dementia, macular degeneration, and every chronic condition under the sun, obesity, certainly in that mix as well, is somehow inevitable, and that you're a victim, there's nothing you can do about it. This is just an unfortunate hand that you have been dealt. And the way to deal with it is by taking our weekly Ozempic injections. Guys, I was sold a similar narrative for the first 20 years of my life when I was barely able to swallow food because my esophagus was so incredibly inflamed. And I was told that I would have to take a swallowed corticosteroid called fluticasone propionate, aka Flovent, for the rest of my life. And that was 14 years ago. Apparently, they've got a number of injectable medications, such as Dupixent, that people with this condition are prescribed for life nowadays. And I don't take any medications, guys, OTC or otherwise, prescription or OTC. I'm a former pharmacist as well. I spent the last 5 years as a consultant pharmacist, just literally breathing in and out more medications than any person ever should. And what I'm here to tell you is that this is the wrong paradigm and that we live in a world that is incredibly overweight, sick, and increasingly infertile. And then what we have now is, in a sense, this political divide where people who are more right-leaning are more of the opinion that like, it's your body, you're responsible, your ownership, your accountability. You, Mr. or Mrs. Fatty, you need to move more and eat less. And then on the left side, you have people who are more loving and empathetic, as I believe we all should be, right? And they believe you should just love yourself and embrace your obesity and contend with the consequences that are coming. But let's not look at that today, right? So there's wisdom in both sides. And here's my take on the matter, which is that obesity is a big problem, but it's not your fault. You've literally been going to war against an army that there's no way you could have been prepared for. It's like you literally brought a knife to an all-out gunfight. You are clearly ill-equipped to fight back against the war that is chronic disease. And that's part and parcel why I'm here to give you guys the weaponry that I was given 8 years ago when I came in contact with a nutritional savant whose knowledge rivals anything that I've ever seen, certainly in the online health and fitness sphere. He gave me an unfair advantage that I used to fight back, to get off all of my medications, to get off of all of my medications, and to live an autonomous life that I'm incredibly grateful for. So there's this war that's been waged against you, but certain people will have you believe that you can just embrace this and leave it alone and just love yourself. Which is, in a sense, good advice. There's absolutely wisdom there, and I want people to love themselves. That's absolutely important. Unconditional self-love that allows you to emanate authenticity and not be tied to the approval of anybody else. That's something that I've always personally struggled with. I always cared about how I was perceived by other people, and it was just like this weight, man, that was just weighing me down in this life. And I wasn't as light as maybe you get the sense that I am today. You know, like for example, in second grade, when my mom took off the morning from work to get me just to crack a smile on picture retake day, because otherwise I was too socially stifled, too shy, introverted, and inside of my head. I really cared how other people perceived me, like as an ego. Like I really thought that actually mattered. Oh my God, it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts. For example, when I believe I was 12 or 13 years old and I had saved up some money from stacking wood, mowing lawns, and so forth, during my summer vacations, I wanted a dirt bike. But I couldn't afford like one of the Japanese, like the Yamahas or the Hondas, Suzuki, Kawasaki. So I bought this Orion pit bike, 125cc, like this red and black Chinese manufactured, like really cheap dirt bike to get started out on. I believe it had like a 14-inch front tire diameter, 12-inch rear. So it was a fairly small bike. And I was so concerned about how my mom and dad would see me drive it. I think particularly my dad, because I never driven a clutch before. So just getting on that bike, I was afraid to stall it. I was afraid to stall it out, to tip it over, right? to dump the bike, man. And then my sister, Amanda, comes running down the hill and in flip-flops during the summer in June when I got the bike. She literally basically kicks me to the side, jumps on the bike, and just freaking sends it. Like she just friggin' sends it, man. But can you imagine if I just let that be? Oh, dirt biking's not for me. I'm just gonna love myself and let my sister drive the dirt bike that I spent so much time and effort to be able to afford. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. See, I never would have developed the skill set and the love for riding that I did had I not gotten back on that bike. Had I not learned how to do catwalks, burnouts, and wheelies in the whole 9 yards. I actually ended up getting a 2002, like a crotchet rocket, a Yamaha. I finally could afford a Japanese bike. It was a YFZ R1 that I did like a 60 mile per hour wheelie. Kids, do not try this at home. Seriously, don't. Very, very, very dangerous. I did some incredibly dumb things. That's just scratching the surface. But the point is that I had to get over myself. I had to realize, you know what? Maybe I am going to dump the bike. Maybe I am going to tip it over. I'm going to get a burn on the inside of my leg because I'm going to crash. That's going to happen because I'm not perfect. But I want to learn. I want to get better. So what can I do? How can I improve? And so it's not your fault. I actually really believe that. I love all of you guys. It's not your fault if you have chronic disease right now, if you're obese, diabetic, metabolically disordered, insulin resistant. But here's the kicker. It is your responsibility. And I'm here to help. I'm here to give you a fighting chance because I fucking believe in you. I believe if you have the proper weaponry, if you have not just a knife that you bring to an all-out gunfight, but you've got some grenades that you can throw back at Big Food and Big Pharma, and you can stick those grenades up their ass. Because they've already waged the war against you, and when you walk into a grocery store, you don't even realize all of the proverbial grenades, the landmines that they've placed in your midst. That with a big grin, people are just procuring in a walking daze of confusion. So it's important to love yourself, to accept yourself as you are, but also to want to seek betterment and realize that you have to pay the piper eventually. I got lucky in a sense. I happened to be diagnosed when I was 15 years old with a disease that is so interwoven with food because it's literally inflammation of the esophagus, your food pipe. And so it was rather apparent to doctors that formulating some sort of a diet could help you achieve remission. It's just 14 years ago when I was diagnosed, I never connected the dots and realized the depth and breadth of this problem, which quite frankly, friends, could only be measured on a Richter scale. Any sort of symptom or disease that you currently suffer from, even something as generic as malaise, fatigue, or maybe you've got like a headache, a migraine, certainly acid reflux, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, or diarrhea. Ladies and gentlemen, these things often do trace back to your diet, and you have to have discernment with which diet you opt for, because the impact that that has on the quality of your life and how much authenticity you can emanate and how much energy and how full of a cup you can bring to the party of life is something that we're just beginning to appreciate. Guys, I love you all very much. Obesity isn't your fault, but it is your responsibility and something that you can take ownership of. And I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you fight back because I firmly believe that this is an unfair fight and that your back has been up against the wall. Up until this point in time, you've been placed between a rock and a hard place. And I don't want to live in a world like that. Guys, thanks you so much for checking out today's video. Drop a comment down below. What do you think about this? How can I be of more service to you? How can we boycott Big Food? How can we just stop purchasing the products that are proliferating these problems? Guys, I love you all very much. And as always, until next time, friends, find your freedom. Take care, guys. Peace.